Hello everyone, the second season of Squid Game is filled with symbols, hidden references, and complex plot details that I'm excited to share with you today. Enjoy the show! At the beginning of the season, we see Gi-hun encountering the host in a motel, only to soon find out it's just a nightmare. But here's the problem. How could Gi-hun have seen the host in his dream if they had never met face to face? The answer is simple. He couldn't. It's a clear mistake by the creators of the series. Some viewers argue that Gi-hun could have seen the host when he left the first Squid Game victorious, but that's impossible because he was blindfolded the entire time. Most likely, the scene was filmed for the trailer to intrigue fans and accidentally made it into the final version. In one of the scenes at the amusement park, there's a subtle detail. When we meet guard number 011, there's a street food kiosk in the background featuring a squid on its signboard, which is also the Korean translation of the establishment's name. If you look closely, you can see that the inscription matches the first part of the Squid Game Korean logo. This little Easter egg, added by the creators, directly refers to the title of the series and the season's finale. At the beginning of the season, the recruiter offers the homeless a symbolic choice, a piece of bread or a lottery ticket. This scene is a clear critique of modern society, emphasizing that people often choose hypothetical money at the expense of basic needs, even if the chance of winning is minuscule. An ideal metaphor for the entire Squid Game, don't you think? Upon first viewing, the scene with the Russian roulette game is puzzling. Why doesn't the recruiter just kill Gi-hun right away? Why risk his own life? The motives become clearer later. The Squid Game organizers commit terrible acts, but adhere to a strict code. A set of rules that don't allow them to kill anyone outside the game zone. This applies not only to the recruiter, but to all members of the organization. From the lower ranks, that is, the guards with circles, to the host himself, who could easily kill Gi-hun without returning him to the game. In the second season, Junho could have told Gi-hun multiple times that the host is his brother, but he doesn't. His silence is explained by an emotional bond with his brother. Junho knows what the host is doing. He still hopes that his brother acts out of coercion, due to circumstances, rather than committing evil willingly. The brothers have complex and deep relationships, which are fascinating to watch. Talking to Gi-hun in the limousine, the host makes a reference to the Matrix and the red and blue pills. However, in Squid Game, the colors are reversed. Red symbolizes a return to normal life, while blue represents participation in the games. In the first episode of Squid Game, there is a major reference to a cult film that likely delighted discerning viewers. The scene with the two losers forced to play Russian roulette mirrors The Deer Hunter, starring Robert De Niro. Early in the season, we learn about a new rule. After each game, the survivors can vote to end the competition and share the accumulated prize money. But why is this necessary? This new rule is directly linked to the philosophy of the host and the organizers. Greed rules people, and for society, money will always be more valuable than life itself. Theoretically, players can vote to end the games and go home, but the host knows they won't, and he's right. Greed always wins. During the red light green light game, Gi-hun, trying to help other participants, steps forward to explain the rules and suggests starting the game together. Effectively, he gains an advantage by moving several meters towards the finish line. This trick would have made winning easier if Gi-hun had set such a goal, and no one could blame him for it. Moreover, upon closer inspection, it's evident that this game has no clear starting line. Meanwhile, in such a competition, an extra couple of meters can make a huge difference. Viewers not familiar with K-pop might not have noticed that the series features a star from the Korean music world. Thanos is played by the very popular South Korean artist Choi Sung-hyun, also known as T.O.P. Hearing that the guy with purple hair is named Thanos, any viewer, even for a second, would think of the Marvel Universe character. Indeed, the reference to the supervillain isn't limited to the name alone. It's only noticeable in a couple of frames, but Thanos from Squid Game has his nails painted in the same colors as the stones in the Infinity Gauntlet. All participants have their personal items confiscated, but the character with purple hair, rapper Thanos, is allowed to keep a necklace that can be used against other players and contains drugs. This serious oversight can only be explained by the organizers deliberately breaking the rules, hoping that under the influence of the pills, the rapper will behave more interestingly and entertain the wealthy viewers in unconventional ways. As I've mentioned, the role of Thanos is played by the famous singer T.O.P., but the series features another celebrity. The role of player number 222 was given to the South Korean K-pop performer Cho Yuri. Gi-hun participates in Squid Game for the second time, unaware that under the guise of player number 1 is the host. Many viewers may not remember that the host is far from a newcomer to the games. In the first season, Junho was searching for his brother, who was also a participant in the games, and eventually recognized his brother as the host. When the host introduces himself to the other players, he uses a fake name, Oh Yeon-il. The subtlety lies in the surname. It was worn by number 1 from the first season, and as I speculated in a previous video, the father of the host. A coincidence? Unlikely. Write what you think about this in the comments. It sounds incredible, but the host might turn out to be the son of Oh Il-nam, the very creator of Squid Game, who pretended to be player number 1. What is this theory based on? During a lull, the host offers a pregnant woman a packet of milk and explains that he cannot drink it. In the first season, while having breakfast with Il-nam, Gi-hun mentions that he couldn't drink milk as a child because he had a poor tolerance for it. Il-nam responds that his son suffered from the same ailment. The theory may seem far-fetched, but why would the host mention milk if it leads nowhere? Too conspicuous a coincidence to ignore. The theory sounds intriguing, but is not without its flaws. As I've said, the host participated in the Squid Games as a player. Why would he do that if he were Il-nam's son? And what about Junho? Is he also Il-nam's son? The theory definitely needs refinement. I will dedicate a separate video to these questions, and meanwhile, I am eager to hear your comments. In the first episode, we see guard number 11 and the girl he interacts with at the amusement park making a special hand gesture multiple times. But what does it mean? This gesture is widely used in Korea and symbolizes a heart or love. In Western countries, people make hearts by putting together bent palms, but in Korea, it is done by crossing the thumb and index finger. The gesture is commonly used when communicating with children, as shown in the series.
I like you.
Not everyone may have noticed this, but in the new Squid Game, there's a special rule for distributing prize money. At the very beginning, the players learn that they can vote to end the competition. In that case, all surviving participants share the accumulated amount equally. This rule did not exist in the first season, and the money was distributed differently. After the first game, the surviving participants had the opportunity to leave, and if they took it, they received nothing. Moreover, it was clearly stated that if the competitions were stopped, the accumulated prize money would be transferred to the families of the first game's victims. You've probably noticed that one of the main characters in the second season is a transgender woman named Cho Hyun-ju. An important detail that you might have missed is related to this character's voice. Cho Hyun-ju is played by a man, and he is a male voice, but in dubbing into other languages, female voices are used.
Then you're gonna pull this lever all the way down. That's how you load your gun.
이런 게임 아무것도 아니라는 걸 한번 보여주자고요.
In creating the second season of Squid Game, much of the set from the first season was reused. That is, the common room or the field for the first game. The areas where the guards are stationed, however, underwent significant changes. In the first season, they looked neutral, with calm white and green tones used in the design. In the new episodes, black and orange colors predominate in the same areas. Throughout the season, guard number 011 is repeatedly scolded for shooting players in the head or chest, making it impossible to harvest organs. This seems illogical since guard number 11 is the only one reprimanded for damaging bodies. Other guards kill participants by shooting them in the head or chest, but do not fear consequences and face no punishment for their actions. In the first season, we were only hinted at, but in the second, it becomes clear that the organs of some deceased participants are sold on the black market. But who is involved? Individual employees or everyone indiscriminately? Likely the former. Watch closely. Some coffins are marked with a barely visible cross, those that contain undamaged bodies. Presumably, neither the organizers nor the wealthy viewers knew about the body sales. The second season reveals the nature of the guards. For example, from the story of guard number 11, it can be understood that these are people experiencing financial difficulties and working for the game organizers to pay off their debts. But how are they found? The series creators don't explain directly, but I have an interesting theory. Gi-hun first meets the recruiter in the subway, and before playing Dakji, the recruiter simply asks Gi-hun to choose a blue or red envelope. Gi-hun chooses the blue envelope, and based on what we saw in the second season, this is a very important decision. I assume that those who choose blue become players, and those who choose red become guards. The next detail can only be noticed when watching the series in the original language. If you don't know, the North Korean accent is noticeably different from the South Korean one. In the second season, a character from North Korea, Kang No-il, appears. In the first season, there was a similar character, number 67. Both speak a North Korean accent, but only when they are with family or people they trust. When interacting with strangers, the girls try to hide their northern accent and mimic the southern one. This decision by the series creators is intentional and reflects real-life circumstances. Many North Korean refugees living in South Korea work on their accents to blend in with the crowd and avoid possible discrimination. In the scene at the amusement park, many viewers notice what seemed to be a plot mistake. A girl gives guard number 11 a drawing, and in the drawing the girl has long hair, although by that time she was completely bald. In fact, this is not a mistake, but an important detail demonstrating the creators' attention to detail. The viewer learns that the girl is seriously ill and has lost her hair during treatment, but she still sees herself with long hair and wants to grow it back. When the players enter the arena for the pentathlon, 3 words can be seen on the entrance door, translated as strong, quick, and persistent. At first glance, the words indicate how participants should behave during the competition, but there's more to it. This slogan, consisting of 3 words, has long been used in South Korean schools to motivate children during sports events and physical education lessons. The creators of the series paid close attention to the second season, and there are virtually no editing mistakes. However, I managed to catch one very small error. Some might think I'm nitpicking, but still. So, Chunho is having lunch with his mother. In front of him is a bowl of rice and various other dishes, one of which seems to contain noodles. In the first frame, Chunho takes the noodles and places them in the bowl, filled to the brim with rice. In the second frame, the same bowl is noticeably emptier. Moreover, in the first frame, Chunho is holding the noodles with chopsticks, but in the second, he is not. We are used to the guards entering the common room armed, especially before the start of a new game. But you may not have noticed that the guards do not always carry weapons. For example, at their first appearance, they have nothing in their hands. But in all other cases, they always carry some machine guns. This detail is far from accidental. Before the first game, participants are still unaware of the true nature of the competition and do not suspect that deadly danger awaits them. The guards intentionally enter unarmed so as to not frighten the players prematurely. Soon after appearing on screen, Thanos talks about his father and mentions a peculiarity. His father imagines that a bug has been implanted in his brain. Early in the second season, Gi-hun removes a microchip from behind his ear, which the Squid Game organizers used to track him. So Thanos' father might not be making it up. It's unlikely that he won a game, otherwise he and his son would be wealthy. It can be assumed that he participated in a game that ended early due to voting and received a psychological trauma for life. There's a glaring mistake in the game involving a carousel indoors that's hard to miss. At one stage of the game, recently eliminated and deceased participants are announced. Among them is number 104. The following players have been eliminated from the game: player number 38 and player number 104. However, just a few minutes later, we can see that the player with his number is still alive, healthy, and participating in the competition.
Player 34, player 38, player 104.
Many viewers like the green tracksuits worn by the players. Where did these suits come from? And is their color symbolic? The answer lies in an interview with the director. Hwang Dong-hyuk says that the design of the costumes for the game participants was inspired by the sports uniforms that were common in Korea when he was in elementary school. According to the director, children back then played the same games shown in the series and were even punished for losing. In the new episodes, we meet an unusual character, number 125. This is a young man named Min-soo, extremely shy and even cowardly. He first betrays the only person who offered him support, then allows this person to die. The actor playing Min-soo is named David Lee. Looking through the cast of the first season, I discovered that the same actor plays a wealthy spectator in a deer mask. What do you think? Just a coincidence, or a hint at an unexpected plot twist? Be sure to comment below. Everyone remembers the scene in which guard number 11 shows pity for player number 246, the father of the sick girl shown at the beginning of the season. But in the final minutes of the season, player number 246 still dies. What's the point of his storyline? Something suggests that the player might have actually survived. You might not have noticed, but the person who shoots player number 246 wears a sign in the shape of a triangle, like guard number 11, and his shot is aimed not at the head but at the body of the victim. There's a high probability that player number 246 was spared. Guard number 11 was the shooter, and player number 246 is alive, and both will be shown in the third season. What do you think? How realistic is this? Soon after the competition begins, we learn that one of the participants is a YouTuber who promoted a cryptocurrency. He invested himself, encouraged his subscribers to do the same, and lost. The cryptocurrency in question is called Dalmatian. Does it exist in real life? Yes, but it appeared simultaneously with the second season of Squid Game. On the first day, its value significantly increased, obviously thanks to the series, but after a few hours, it plummeted sharply. In the last episode of the second season, it turns out that the ship's captain has been an accomplice of the game's organizers all along, and has been deceiving Junho. What does this mean? Most likely it means that the story of the brothers is not over yet. Presumably the host not only intentionally shot Junho at the cliff, giving him a chance to survive, but also ordered the captain to fish him out of the sea, gaining the opportunity to watch over his brother and protect him. Toward the end of the second season, many players rebel against the guards. But does it make any sense? With Gi-hoon, it's clear he wants to stop the organizers and prevent players from killing each other for money, but the others act inconsistently. If there were more who wanted to stop the games, they could easily use the new rule. And even if a scuffle occurs during the voting, it would only increase their chances of being in a favorable position. But the majority supported continuing the games, so why did they decide to revolt? Going against heavily armed guards with bare hands is sheer suicide and a zero chance of winning any money. It's hard to believe that people who survived 3 games would behave so recklessly. Here's another detail that likely went unnoticed by many, highlighting the cunning and inventiveness of the host in his role as player number 1. In the spinning top game, the host fails 3 times but then spins the top correctly. Clearly, he's just pretending to struggle, while in fact, he's well versed in the game. If you look closely, he makes the first 3 unsuccessful attempts with his right hand, and the final, flawless, thrown with his left. The conclusion is obvious. The host is left-handed. He's deliberately dragging out the challenge and enjoys the fear of the players. Throughout the season, Gi-hoon directly interacts with player number 1, unaware that he is actually the host. As I've mentioned, the main character has never seen the villain's face, so he can't recognize him. But what about the voice? Most of the time, the host speaks while wearing a mask that distorts his voice. But in the last episode of the first season, the host speaks to Gi-hoon without any disguise. Gi-hoon clearly hears the host's voice and perhaps could recognize it in the second season. Of course, it's worth remembering that Gi-hoon spoke with the host 3 years ago, and it might be difficult to remember the voice of someone he doesn't know personally. It's clear to everyone that the host is far from virtuous. Another example can be seen in one of the scenes in the final episode, where Gi-hoon explains how exactly he plans to take revenge on the organizers. He says that the real enemies are at the top, controlling all the players from there. At this moment, everyone looks up, except for the host. He briefly raises his eyes, but quickly returns to Gi-hoon and continues to stare at him intently. After it was revealed that the host is left-handed and deliberately lost the spinning top game, everyone started looking for inconsistencies related to this fact in the series. Many noted that at the beginning of the players' uprising, the host holds a weapon in his right hand, not his left. But I wouldn't call this an inconsistency. Many types of firearms, including the HK MP5 submachine gun shown in the series, have a specific design and are intended to be operated with the right hand. An experienced shooter will take such a weapon in the right hand, even if left-handed, as it is more convenient and effective. I must admit, while watching the second season, I occasionally felt like the host was about to change sides and join the players. But in the last episode, he definitely destroys that impression and returns to his role as a cruel villain. Yet there is one small detail that made it clear from the beginning that one shouldn't have hoped. Telling Gi-hun about himself, the host not only gives a fictitious name, but also mentions a wife who supposedly is very ill and in the hospital. By that point, the viewer already knows that his wife has been dead for at least a year. Moving on to the most pressing question, which is not directly related to the new episodes, but desperately interests everyone. When can we expect the final, third season of Squid Game? Recently, a brief clip mistakenly appeared on the Netflix Korea channel. The description of this clip stated the release date for the third season, June 27, 2025. This information has not been officially confirmed yet, but given the circumstances, the chances are quite high. What's the meaning of the scene after the credits? Will there really be a new game with a girl doll and a new boy doll? I think not, and I can almost certainly prove it. In the short scene after the credits, several players participate. One of them is number 100. Player number 100, an elderly participant with a debt of 10 billion, plays an important role in the second season. Player number 100 is completely gray-haired, easily recognizable. But in the scene after the credits, he looks different. It seems to be a completely different person, suggesting a return to the past. Most likely they are showing us a previous Squid Game, the very one from 2015, in which the host won. That's all from me. If you like this video, don't forget to rate it, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. Your activity is the best reward for me. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Bye.